This is on. So I'm going to share my screen to present some slides. Hop, hello everybody, and thank you so much for coming. I'm going to make it big. Yeah, this way. So this is the first event. We have called it Public Open Source Software Demo for now. The name might change. And first of all, welcome, if I didn't say it yet. And this is the first session. We hope to be able to make one per month. We'll see if this works well, if we have an audience, or if people like it actually. So you might be wondering what this is. Well, the fact is that at the PrestaShop company, there have been demonstration of what has been done on the project for years, following some Scrum rituals, but it was only for the company members. And now we have external maintainers, and also we are willing to open more and more the project. So this has to stop, and we wanted the demonstration to become public. And also, we wanted to create a space where the maintainers and the community could finally discuss about the project, the latest changes, what is the vision. So right now, today, we're going to have some demonstration, and then there will be a questions and answer session where people will be able to ask their question. So this is what we try today. It might change depending on the feedback we get. This is a video conferencing monthly event. Right now it's on Jitsi because first it's open source and also it allows us to record it easily. Again, this setup might change depending on our feedback and the needs. We aim to announce here some incoming announcement about the project, like the release schedule, the next features, what's going on, demonstrate also what has been done recently, and the Q&A answers. It's being recorded. The record will be shared publicly. And so not this one, but yeah, next time, anybody will be able to join. So this is today's agenda. We just went through the first part. What is this? And now we are in agenda state. And then I will remind you all of the rules because this is an open source project event. So we have to apply mainly the code of conduct. Then there will be the announcements, and then there will be two demonstrations. One from Mathieu Roland, which is multi-shop support for Symfony backoffice pages. And the second one is module capacities, enhance module capacities to customize Symfony thanks to form simplification. And I will present this one. Finally, we will have a question and answer session. And finally, we will be able to say goodbye to each other. So yeah, about these event rules, I have to remind them because it's important. So please, everybody keep being mute because we are too many people, so we cannot discuss without it being messy, but we have the chat, so we can discuss with the chat. Second rule, this event is about the PrestaShop open source project. A lot of us today are also working for the PrestaShop company, but this is off topic. We are here about the project, not the company. And this is why if there are questions or topics about the company, we might answer them, but this is not the spirit of today's event. Third rule, this event is public and recorded. I didn't already mention this. And the fourth rules, we have a code of conduct for the PrestaShop project, and we must abide by it. You can read it on GitHub, but basically be kind, welcome anybody, and be nice. This is the spirit of it, and everybody will be able to discuss in quiet and confident environments. That being said, we can move to the announcements. Well, first of all, if we didn't see some of you today before, Happy New Year. We are still in January 20 and 21. Secondly, small announcements. Well, I believe most of you know about it, but it's good to repeat it. This is our release schedule for the first quarter of 2021. PrestaShop 1771 has already been released, some like 10 days ago, a little bit more than that. Since we still have regressions for PrestaShop 177, well, there will be a second patch release, which is PrestaShop 1772. It's in progress, and according to our rules, we will have to release it before the 22nd of February, because we are supposed to keep 6 weeks time window between the moment we decide of PrestaShop patch version to be released and the moment we release it. Finally, the work continue on the next PrestaShop minor version, PrestaShop 1780. And the date can still change, but if we don't say otherwise, the feature freeze is supposed to expect for April 2021. And then, depending on the feature freeze and on the status of the project, we might be able to announce release candidate expect schedule. But for now, we just focus on the feature freeze. That's all for the announcements. And now we will be able to move to the demonstration. So I will stop sharing my screen and I will give you, Mathieu, the hand if you want it. I'm stopping the share now.
Yes, okay. So I share my screen. Someone is yelling behind me.
We can see your screen now.
Okay, good. So this is the comeback of multi-store checkboxes and back office configuration pages. This is how it looks like. So there was 2 goals. The first goal was to bring back the multi-store checkboxes, which existed in previous versions of PrestaShop. And the second goal was to make it easy for developers to make their configuration forms compatible with multi-store. For example, a module developer would be able to make it possible to specify configuration values for different shop contexts. So this is how it looks like. You have the checkboxes. Depending on the context, it will appear or not. And when the checkbox is checked, it means that the value is overridden for the given context. You can disable a field, so it will not be taken into account when you push the form. And basically that's it. So next slide. So I'm going to show you how you can make your form compatible with multi-store. Basically, there are 4 steps: extending the multi-store configuration type, setting the multi-store configuration attribute on fields you want to make multi-store compatible. Then in front office, you have to add some JavaScript, and then you have to store your data correctly. I'm going to explain those 4 steps right now, so it's normal if you don't understand. So the first step is to extend the multi-store configuration type. So we made use of Symfony's form extension mechanism to make it easy for developers to implement multi-store checkboxes in their back office configuration forms. So it's a Symfony mechanism. Basically, the hard work of adding checkboxes to your form and dealing with their states depending on the current context, on whether the value was overridden or not, is already done. All you have to do is to add this piece of code in your Symfony form type. This is a Symfony mechanism, so you will extend the multi-store configuration type, and your form will be able to display checkboxes. But by default, by just doing that, you won't have any checkboxes because you have to specify which fields you want to have the checkboxes on. So to make a field multi-store compatible, you have to add the multi-store configuration key attribute. And as a value, you have to put the configuration key. For example, PrestaShop enable, that's the configuration key the configuration mechanism we have in PrestaShop in the back office. Developers should know what I'm talking about. So in the front end, you have to add the multi-store config field component. that's responsible for dealing with the state of the checkbox and also disabling, graying out the field you want to disable. It also disables the field in the HTML. So, for example, I set the value to yes, I uncheck it, the value is not pushed. So that was not updated, which is normal. So the JavaScript is responsible for this. You just have to use our JS component mechanism and add the multi-store config field component. And the last step is to make sure that your configuration values are stored correctly. So I'm going to show you in the code. It will be easier. So today on a configuration form, the class that will be responsible for registering the configuration values have to implement data configuration interface. When you make your form multi-store compatible, you can extend the new class, which is an abstract multi-store configuration class. Basically, this class will give you helpers to make it easy to store values in a multi-store context. So you have methods like get configuration input values that will give you all the configuration values that were pushed, but without the ones that were disabled. You can get the shop constraint, so that you store the correct values at the right place for the right context. And you get the update configuration value that will do the job of registering the data correctly for the right context. And that's it, I think. So that's it for the back office multi-store mechanism on the configuration forms. It's a work in progress. The pull request is finished. The review is almost finished, so it's coming very soon. The documentation about all this is also being reviewed. It will be online soon too. And there are also other things that are coming in 1.7.8 about multi-store. So there's a specific settings drop-down. Each multi-store field will have a drop-down with the list of shop and the information about whether the current value is inherited or not for the shop in the list. And we also have the multi-store context header, which gives you a visual information. You can easily see in what context you are. You have a list of shop, the groups, and you can go directly to the given shop. Basically, it's a remake of this, but visually improved, and with a search mechanism with autocomplete to easily find your stores if you have a lot of stores on your shop. And that's it for me. So, anyone has questions? Was my English understandable?
I think your English was quite good. If you have questions, I believe maybe the easiest way is to write them in the chat, just like Pablos did, although it was not a question. Mathieu, I believe you can stop sharing your screen. Let's wait a few seconds to see if someone has some questions. Else, we will be able to move on to the next demonstration. Well, looks like Christian is asking about bugs. The multi-store bugs, I believe. The demonstration of Mathieu was only about his topic, which is to bring back the checkboxes used for multi-store in the Symfony pages, and also the rework of the specific header at the top. So multi-store bugs are not in the scope of this project, unfortunately. We don't forget about them, but this is not what Mathieu is working on, I believe. Mathieu, I guess you can see the questions.
The checkboxes UI, the final one. I feel like I could not know what they relate to. You mean it's not aligned perfectly?
I'm gonna speak for this one. I feel like I don't know what they are related to. I mean, I can see the checkboxes, but even though I know that they can appear if I change the context of the shop, it could be like it's hard to say to know that it's to activate or deactivate them on the specific shop or globally. I feel like it misses a label somewhere where it can say this is settings for shop 1 or shop 2 or something like that.
That's an improvement idea. Maybe it will be more clear when we'll have the drop down with a list of shop in front
Probably.
of the field. But maybe writing multi-store something. So yes,
yeah.
The naming would not be easy to find. I don't know how we could call it, but
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Or tooltip, maybe, yes.
Yeah, I think that if we added like a small question mark at the top of the column with the checkboxes, so that people would instinctively put their mouse cursors on top of it, and with a tooltip right there, you would know what, or maybe you could have a tip about what are those checkboxes for. I think that this is something that I already said to the product team at some point, and maybe we forgot about it. I think it would be a good idea to add it. You see what I mean?
I think so. Christian is talking about when we uncheck setting, it should be removed from shop context settings, I think. I don't think so. I mean, we can discuss it after. I don't think it's the wanted behavior, but we can talk about it. I can look at the specs again and confirm if that was the wanted behavior or not. And if it was not the wanted behavior, we can still discuss about it with the product team.
Yeah, this behavior has been explored, and there are multiple pages working with different behaviors related to these checkboxes. So it's easy to be confused. We can double check, but basically it's one way or the other. Either what you check is taken into account, or what you check on is not considered for this one. But I believe maybe it would be easier in Slack.
What I did basically is that if you uncheck the checkbox when it disables the field, and but it doesn't override anything in database.
I believe we can. So we are available as always in the open source Slack channel to discuss this further. If you're okay, I will now share my screen again so I can present the next demonstration. Up, here it comes. Yeah, you can see my screen. So the next part is, I'm gonna grab the slide and this one. So this demonstration is about enhanced module capacities to customize Symfony thanks to form simplification. For a few months now, we have a developer that has been working on the twig templates of our Symfony back office pages. And what he has been doing is that he has been taking all of these forms where each of the fields have been rendered manually. So for example, this one is a customer form, and first you can see is rendering the gender field, then is rendering the first name field, then it's been rendering the last name field, then the email field, and he has been simplifying these forms so that now they look like this. There is a single twig statement, which is form widget. We give it the form, and it happens all magically. So by magically, what I mean, first I'm going to check I haven't been logged out. Cool, I haven't been logged out. So this is the customer form. My screen has a strange size, so don't worry about the fact there's so much space between. It's just I have an irregular screen size. So right now, what we have is that we have this customer form. We have all of these fields: gender, first name, last name, email, and all of this is being rendered by this single statement. So what it does is that this is actually a Symfony form. And when we use form widgets, what Symfony does is it takes the Twig form theme. This is a Symfony capability. And this is a form theme that's going to say, hey, I know what kind of fields you are giving me. Is it text type? Is it drop down? Is it switches? And I know how to render them. So if you give me any form, I can render them the way you want. And this is going to bring some new capacities for modules that I will now demonstrate. So to demonstrate them, first of all, so this is my shop. This is a 1780 shop. By the way, what Mathieu has been presenting and what I am presenting now, both are for 178. And as you know, every forms in the back office is extendable using hooks. So right now on this page, I can use the Symfony debug bar and check the hooks, and I can see that there is a hook action customer form builder modifier that is being called, is being used. It's being used by a module that I have modified. So I took the graph NVD3 module to do my demo. I completely changed its behavior. So right now I'm plugged on this hook, and this hook is giving me the form builder. So the form builder is the class responsible for building the form that is being displayed here. And from there, I can modify anything that I send to the view and that be rendered. So what I mean really is that I can take the form and I can decide, hey, please add a new field for me. So I'm going to say, hey, I just want to add this extra field. It's going to be a text type, and I'm going to put new field as a label. I'm going to keep this tab open to see the original form. And here I have the same tab. I refresh. And I have my extra field now. You can see the difference. So this is nothing new in PrestaShop world. People have been able to do this for years, adding new fields at the bottom. What's interesting here is that I didn't have to do any rendering, putting the HTML fields. It has all been done automatically. This, what I just did, putting a field at the end, is nothing new. You could do it for 175, 176, I don't remember. However, now that all the form is being rendered automatically, I can modify the structure of the form, and the consequences will be done on the rendering. So to make it easier to understand, I'm going to first dump the form structure. So I'm going to dump, this is the hook parameters I get. The form builder is here. And we can see that in this form builder, if I check the children, I have 10 fields. These 10 fields are actually the fields that are being rendered here. So if I remove one, it's going to be removed from the form. And so I say this, I'm going to remove my extra field, and I say, hey, please remove the first name field. So we have the first name here, I refresh, and that's gone. And now it's gone, and what's really important that before we did the simplification, when you wanted to remove a field, you had to override a template, sorry, because in the template, we had the HTML elements, so you could remove them, but you had to override the template to remove manually the HTML. Now, all of the HTML is being rendered automatically, which means if I remove the field is gone. I can do other stuff. For example, here I have the email field. You can see this little red star. It's being rendered because this field is required. But I can decide to modify the form using the hooks and say, hey, I don't want it to be required anymore. I refresh, and the red star is gone. Again, you could do this before by overwriting the template, but it was long and loud and expensive. Now, just using the hook, I can modify the form structure, and my modifications are being applied to the view. what can we do more? So another very interesting thing, before you could put as many fields you wanted at the bottom, just like we did like this. I'm going to put back my extra field. You could put them at the bottom because there was a hook at the bottom. What if you want it to appear there at the top? Again, before you had to override the templates. Now I have a way to do it using only the hook. So I do something. It's maybe not the best way to do it. This is the only thing I could find quickly. But what I'm going to actually do is that I'm going to retrieve all the elements of the form. Then I'm going to remove them all. Then I'm going to add again my field, and then I will put back all the items I have removed. So basically what I do is that I take the form, I remove everything in it, I push my field on top of it, then I put back all the items because the form is being rendered following the order of the inputs. So if you put last name before first name, it appears below. So if I refresh, now my field is at the top. So we have the capacity to put it at the top. We have the capacity to put it at the bottom. What if I want to put it there, between email and password? So I have a little trick to do this. Once again, we are still discovering the capacity of this. There might be a cleanest way to do it. What I'm going to do is that first I'm going to remove all the items in the form. Then I'm going to add a little counter that I'm going to increment. And when it reaches, so it's a bit a hack what I'm doing right now. I believe there's probably a better way and more pretty to do it. So when the counter reaches 4, I add my extra field. And if I'm not wrong, now my field is going to appear in the middle. Yes, got it. So now, thanks to the form simplification project, we are able to put any field anywhere using only hooks. You do not need to override templates anymore. And this is actually a must-have, because when you override a template, what happens is that this is a sad thing about overrides. Only one module can override a template, I believe. If you have 2 modules overriding the same template, only one of them is going to be applied, because when you override, it's just a replace. You cannot mix the 2 overrides together. However, with hooks, it's possible. If I have 3, 4, 5 hooks that all of them add fields to this form, all the fields are going to be added, no matter where they are at the top, at the middle, or at the bottom. So we don't have anymore the issue of modules that are fighting each other for this field. If I have 6, 10 different modules adding each of the field, all of them will appear. And we don't need to override anything. It's just hooks. So to summarize it, back to slide. This work that we have been doing on all the Symfony back office pages using Twig templates. So it's not totally done. All the pull requests are done. Some of them are still in review or in QA or about to be merged. But at some point, every back office Symfony pages using Twig will be like this. There will be a single Twig statement, and using it, we can customize the rendering of the form. So at this moment, all the modules plugged on these pages will be able to remove, modify the form fields in it with hooks only. Insert or reorder some fields. Yeah, I didn't mention this, but because you can control the order of the form fields, I can put last name before first name. I can put email at the top. I can reorder them the way I want. And also, the Twig form sim is what you can use to quickly create new forms. If you don't want to spend some time writing HTML and CSS to have a new form, you can basically just use a Symfony form type and use the Twig form sim, and it's going to render it for you. And it will look like a PrestaShop form, which is actually what we want. So before we had a Twig form sim that was usable but not complete. And now, thanks to this work, it's being more and more complete and more usable. And that's all for this demonstration. The next part will be Q&A. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see the questions. And actually, I believe I can stop sharing my screen. Since then, there's question and answer, and we say goodbye. Up. So looking back, oh, so many things have been said. Taking the question from the top, we should add helper method. Yeah, probably add before. So for the funny story, I checked. Symfony considered the idea of adding add before or add after, and then they said no, because actually the view should be in charge of defining whether which field should be at the top, which field should be below. It's not the class responsibility to choose the order, which makes sense. But for us, it's not applicable. So we will probably have to apply them. We don't have any identifier for the input to avoid the counter, like name. So since we don't have add before or after, wait, I just thought about this idea this morning. So this is why I use a counter, but I believe indeed there is probably something a lot better to do. Yeah, it's like you say, Christian, it's a lot similar to what has been done in the grid component. We just try to copy this behavior because it's quite useful. And I believe that there's no more questions there, rather discussions. So I think for this demonstration, it's good. Now we can reach a Q&A session. So if anybody has questions, again, about the project, not the company, that would be a good moment to discuss it. And if we have no more questions, we can say goodbye.
Don't hesitate to ask anything. We are here for you. The idea also is to encourage horizontal kind of communication. So I think it would be interesting not only just to ask questions, but to tell us things, maybe.
So, Luc, since the fields use name as an identifier, you're right, this is going to be an issue. Well, basically, anytime you have a system using identifiers and two modules use the same identifier, issues come. It's the same for CSS, file names. So I believe, yeah, maybe we should tell people to add prefixes, like you put your module name underscore your own input. This way you're kind of sure there will be no collision. And it's not my job. I monitor the project, but it's a developer named Yevgeny who has been working on this. And yes, the demo presentation, next time, the meeting will be open to anybody. So we might have 200 people in the room, or 1,000, I don't know. But yeah, the next time it will be open for anybody. Yeah, Christian, well, since it's only us today, I guess you can.
Okay. May I? Okay, I thought that you need to accept me after raising my hand.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I have a question about these fields modifications, because I wonder if we could add a little information in docs, because we might remove some fields from the view, but this doesn't mean that you could save a customer without the first name or last name. Those hooks only modified view layer of the form builder. So I think that we need to make sure that people understand that even though they are adding new fields there or removing those fields, it's not a magic that first name or last name would not be saved anymore in database, because it's commands and queries are responsible for this mechanism.
Yes, you're totally right. We have to mention this, and indeed, people might be mistaken because the field is not there anymore. There's no need for the data in here, but yeah, it's only about the view. So this is a good advice. So when we will be writing the documentation about this, we will be sure to mention this in a big red box.
Yeah, of course. This means that not because you can do anything, you can get away with doing anything.
At least they can put a hard-coded first name is remove the field, something like this.
Yeah, I think we found a way to override default comments and form adapters. So it is possible to remove a field completely from customer. So yeah, I think we could create an example module after this implementation of form builder is already on develop, right, Branch?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we could create an example module of where we can show how to remove or add fields in a new way, so people can use it in their projects.
Yeah, but it's not released yet because this is once developed, so it's 1.7.8. And also, I demonstrated the ability to remove fields because this is something we can do now, but I believe it does not happen a lot that people want to remove fields. Most of the time, they want to add them. And I believe what is going to be more used is the ability to put it wherever you want in the form, rather than just below, or also modify the types. But removing a field, not sure, or maybe just because customer form, each data is very important. Maybe on other pages, there is some useless stuff.
There might be some use cases. There might be some use cases that we can't think of right now, but it doesn't mean that they don't exist. So yeah, of course, I think that we should concentrate our efforts in documenting the most used features first. And if we have some time, we can just show how you could do this one thing that we don't think that people are going to use that much, but it's possible. And we can start simple, like you can remove a field by doing this. It doesn't mean that you don't need the information from that field afterwards. And we might not document that in the first place, but we can do it afterwards if necessary. Christian, if you're up to it, of course you can do it.
No, I'm of course I'm okay with that. I think that having possibility to override and decorate services from Symfony is something what we need to show more to people, because it's really powerful feature, and I think we can see a lot of good stuff for PrestaShop thanks to this.
I fully agree.
So if we get no more questions, which can happen, this is our very first session, so maybe nothing comes in mind now, then I guess this is a moment where I say thank you everybody for joining this first session. I hope you appreciated. Don't hesitate to give us some feedback. Don't hesitate to tell us what was good, what was not good, because we want to improve this format. And hopefully we will see each other again in 1 month, and it will be a public session. So maybe there will be 2,000 hands in the room. And by the way, I'm thinking then I need to check how much people Jitsi can handle. We should check this to avoid unnecessary issues this time. Thank you so much, everybody. I will now stop the recording.